One man, one camera, and a deadly encounter he never saw coming. Off the sunlit shores of Hadera, Israel, a father of four plunged into crystal-clear waters, chasing the thrill of filming majestic sharks, unaware he was moments away from his last breath. What began as a peaceful dive turned into a horrifying struggle for survival, captured on video and witnessed by stunned beachgoers who could do nothing but scream, "They're biting me! They're eating him!" In today's gripping story, we uncover the chilling details behind the rare shark attack that left an entire nation in shock, a family devastated, and a haunting question on everyone's mind. Why did the sharks attack? This isn't fiction. This isn't a movie. This is a real-life savage tale. Welcome back to Savage Tales, Animal Encounters, the channel where we dive deep into the most shocking, wild and unforgettable moments when humans meet nature at its most raw and untamed. Here we bring you the heart-pounding true stories of survival, tragedy, courage, and sometimes the harsh reality of what happens when we enter the wild, unprepared. In today's video, we journey into the waters off Israel's Mediterranean coast, where endangered dusky and sandbar sharks glide silently beneath the surface. But one of those encounters turned into a nightmare. A brave diver, Barak Tzach, stepped into the ocean with nothing but a mask, a snorkel and a GoPro, and within minutes found himself in a life-or-death battle with predators most believe are harmless. This is the untold story behind one of Israel's rarest and deadliest shark attacks in 80 years. Was it a tragic mistake? Was he too close? Or is there something more sinister lurking beneath these tourist-filled waters? Stick around as we unpack the final footage, analyze shark behavior, and explore the chilling eyewitness accounts in this unforgettable animal encounter that turned fatal. If you're captivated by true wildlife stories, the kind that grab you by the gut and don't let go, then this is your tribe. Go ahead and smash that like button if this story moved you, shocked you, or opened your eyes to the dangers of wildlife photography. Drop a comment below. We want to hear your thoughts. Should people be allowed to swim with sharks? Was this attack preventable? Let's start a real conversation. Subscribe to Savage Tales, Animal Encounters, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a wild moment. Because every week we bring you raw, real, and riveting encounters from across the planet. And don't keep this story to yourself. Share it with a friend who loves nature, diving, or thrill-seeking. They need to see this. They need to know what happened. This isn't just entertainment. These are cautionary tales that could save lives. In the wild, it's not always man versus beast. Sometimes it's man versus fate. This is Savage Tales, Animal Encounters. It was a day like any other on the stunning Mediterranean coast of Israel. The clear, turquoise waters of Hadera were drawing tourists from near and far, eager to see the sharks that had become somewhat of a local attraction. The presence of dusky and sandbar sharks in these waters had caught the attention of beachgoers and marine enthusiasts alike, creating a buzz around the possibility of witnessing these creatures up close, a rare and unforgettable experience. However, as many would soon learn, what seems like a serene day in paradise can quickly transform into a nightmare in the blink of an eye. Barak Tzach, a 40-year-old father of four from Petach Tikva near Tel Aviv, was one of those drawn to the allure of the sharks. A passionate wildlife photographer and avid diver, Barak had a deep appreciation for nature's wonders, especially sharks. He had ventured into the water countless times before, armed only with his camera, a snorkel, fins, and his trusty GoPro. Today, however, he was on a mission to capture footage of the sharks in their natural habitat. He wasn't there to feed them or provoke them in any way. He simply wanted to film and photograph them, to document their power, grace, and majesty. Barak entered the water alone, the light ripples of the Mediterranean gently lapping against his body as he swam out toward the deeper, clearer waters where the sharks were often seen. The beach behind him, a popular spot for both locals and tourists, was bustling with families, children playing, and sunbathers relaxing on the sand. Few would have imagined that just beyond the shallow waters, danger lurked. The sharks, large and intimidating, had been spotted by other beachgoers in the days leading up to the incident. A few videos had even gone viral, showing massive sharks swimming ominously close to the shore, right near the feet of unsuspecting swimmers. While these sharks were known to be mostly harmless, their size and presence in the shallows made it clear that these were not ordinary beachgoers or vacationers. These were apex predators, roaming just beneath the surface. As Barak swam further from the shore, he was fully aware of the shark's presence. The water was cold, the air was heavy with the scent of salt, and the only sound was the gentle whoosh of the ocean as it caressed the coast. But for Barak, this wasn't a time for fear. It was a time for connection with the creatures of the sea, a time to understand them, to film them in their natural environment. Armed with only his GoPro, he drifted further, following the contours of the ocean floor, waiting patiently for his chance to capture the perfect shot. What Barak didn't know, as he glided gracefully through the water, was that the situation was slowly changing. The sharks, initially content to swim in their usual patterns, were beginning to notice the lone diver in their midst. One by one they circled, their large, powerful forms cutting through the water with ease. At first it seemed like a moment of pure awe, the kind of experience many would dream of. The sharks were majestic, their movements graceful as they swam alongside him. From the beach, Barak's family and fellow onlookers were oblivious to the tension building beneath the surface. Some had even spotted the sharks earlier that day, watching in awe as the predators glided through the water, unaware of the imminent danger they were about to face. But all was calm. The waves rolled gently, and the sun shone brightly, casting a golden glow over the sea. For Barak, the first signs of trouble came when the sharks drew a little closer. Not yet aggressive, but enough to shift the atmosphere. Barak, ever calm and focused, tried to keep a safe distance, using the GoPro stick to maintain his personal space, gently pushing the sharks away if they came too near. He had trained for moments like this. He knew how to interact with marine life, how to respect their space and read their behavior. But something was different this time. The sharks, perhaps more curious than usual, began to close in on him. His attempts to maintain distance grew more frantic. The familiar calm of the water, once a sanctuary, now felt like a prison, closing in around him. Barak pushed the GoPro stick towards them again, his movements becoming more desperate, the sharks no longer responding with mere curiosity, but with a growing sense of aggression. He knew it was time to swim back, but something wasn't right. The sharks had become bolder, their movements faster, more focused. They were no longer just observing him from a distance. In those last moments before the attack, the water felt heavier, more suffocating. The calm, peaceful day had shifted, almost imperceptibly, into something much darker. And then it happened. What happened next would send shockwaves through the community, leaving bystanders helpless and a family devastated. As Barak Tzach screamed in terror, the unthinkable unfolded before their eyes. As Barak Tzach pushed the GoPro stick toward the approaching shark, the serene underwater world that had once felt peaceful was suddenly filled with a cold, sharp tension. The sharks, now closing in rapidly, no longer seemed like curious bystanders. They were predators, and Barak was in their territory. His every movement seemed to trigger a more aggressive response. The first strike came without warning, a flash of teeth, a surge of power. The shark's jaws snapped at him with lightning speed, and before Barak could react, he felt the sharp sting of teeth sinking into his body. In that split second, the peaceful dive turned into an all-out battle for survival. Barak screamed in terror as the shark's teeth sank into his leg. The pain was excruciating. Blood began to swirl in the water around him, turning the once clear sea into a crimson pool. His heart raced, panic setting in as he tried to push the shark away with the GoPro stick. But the shark was relentless, its jaws clamping down harder, shaking him like a rag doll. "They're biting me!" Barak's voice rang out, a desperate cry for help that echoed across the water. But no one on the shore could reach him in time. His cries were drowned out by the sound of the waves and the chaos unfolding beneath the surface. The shark didn't relent. and neither did the others that now circled him, sensing the blood in the water and the vulnerability of their prey. Barak tried to swim, to get away, but the sharks were closing in from all sides. The GoPro stick was no longer enough to keep them at bay. It was as if the ocean itself had turned against him. He was trapped, surrounded by creatures that only moments before had seemed so majestic. The water around him became a dark, swirling mess of shark fins, blood and desperation. His legs were already heavy with the weight of injury, the bleeding from the first bite making it harder for him to stay afloat. The struggle became more frantic, his arms flailing as he tried to escape the grip of the sharks. But with every stroke, the sharks moved faster, bolder. Barak's attempts to push them away grew weaker, his strength fading fast. His heart was pounding in his chest, each beat seeming louder than the last as he fought for his life. But the sharks, drawn to the scent of blood, were only growing more aggressive. One of the sharks lunged again, this time aiming for his torso. He let out a guttural scream, his body jerking as the predator bit into his side. The water around him was thick with blood now, and the sharks could sense the weakness in their prey. A witness from the shore could only watch in horror, helpless to intervene as Barak was dragged further and further away from the safety of the beach. The cries from the beachgoers, people who'd been peacefully relaxing just moments earlier, were drowned out by the panic in the water. One witness screamed in terror, "They're eating him! They're eating the man!" Another cried, "Oh my God, he's with the shark! He's fighting it!" The scene was chaos, confusion and terror all at once. Barak's screams grew weaker as he was pulled farther into the open sea, the sharks continuing their assault. Despite his best efforts to escape, the strength in his limbs was beginning to fail him, the blood loss too much to bear. He had been in the water for what felt like hours, but in truth, it had only been minutes. The attack was swift, violent and merciless, but the sharks showed no sign of stopping. The last moments of Barak's life played out like a nightmare in slow motion. Witnesses later described seeing the sharks drag him further out into the deep water, where the struggle between man and beast would end. His body became limp as the sharks pulled him away, and within moments he was gone from sight. By the time the first responders arrived, it was too late. The beach was evacuated, and a massive search operation was launched. Divers, jet skis and helicopters scoured the area, hoping to find some trace of Barak Tzach. The air was thick with disbelief, and the once bustling beach now stood still, overshadowed by the horror that had just unfolded. For nearly 24 hours the search continued in the hopes of finding Barak's body, but the ocean had already claimed him. It wasn't until the following day that human remains were recovered. The search teams, exhausted and traumatized, pulled the remains from the sea, a grim discovery that would confirm everyone's worst fears. The remains were sent to a lab for identification, and it wasn't long before the heartbreaking news reached his family. Barak Tzach, a beloved father, husband and marine enthusiast, was gone. The emotional impact was immense. His family, who had anxiously awaited his return, were now left with a gaping hole in their hearts. Barak's wife and children, devastated by the loss, were seen rushing to the beach as officials confirmed the grim truth. His tragic death would leave a mark on them forever, and the memories of his final moments would haunt the witnesses who had been powerless to intervene. The wider community too was left shaken. Shark attacks are incredibly rare in Israel, with only 2 previous incidents recorded in the past 80 years. The sight of Barak's lifeless body being pulled from the sea marked the third, and it would go down in history as one of the most tragic and horrifying events the country had ever witnessed. In the wake of the attack, questions began to emerge. What caused the sharks to behave so aggressively? Was there something about the conditions that triggered this attack? Experts speculated that it may have been the combination of blood in the water, the presence of a lone human, and the shark's natural instincts that led to such a brutal assault. Some even suggested that Barak's attempts to fend off the sharks might have triggered a feeding response, but no one could say for sure. As the investigation continued and authorities worked to uncover what went wrong, one thing remained clear. The ocean had claimed another life, and a family had lost someone they loved dearly. Barak's story would become a reminder of the unpredictable dangers that lurk beneath the surface, a chilling testament to the fact that in the wild, even the most majestic creatures can be unpredictable, their instincts sharp and deadly. The sharks had taken their toll, and the waters of Hadera would never be the same. For those who witnessed the attack, the memory would forever be etched in their minds, a stark reminder of the raw power of nature and the fragility of life. And for Barak's family, the agony of losing him would never fully fade, as they struggled to make sense of the sudden and brutal end to his life. Thank you for joining us in today's heart-wrenching episode of Savage Tales Animal Encounters. This story serves as a chilling reminder of the unpredictable power of nature and the raw beauty of the wild. We hope it made you reflect on the mysteries and dangers that exist beneath the surface, where even the most majestic creatures can show their fierce side. If you found today's story both captivating and thought-provoking, don't forget to hit that like button and share this video with others who would appreciate the raw intensity of the wild world we live in. The power of the animal kingdom is a reality we can't ignore, and we're here to bring you the most incredible, jaw-dropping encounters week after week. Make sure to subscribe to Savage Tales Animal Encounters so you never miss out on the latest animal stories that bring you face to face with the wild like never before. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you're the first to know when we release our next video. We've got more shocking encounters lined up and you won't want to miss a single one. Also, we love hearing from you. Drop your thoughts, comments and questions below. What do you think about today's story? Have you had any encounters with wildlife that you'll never forget? We'd love to hear about them. Thank you once again for watching Savage Tales Animal Encounters, where the wild comes to life. Remember, stay curious, stay safe and stay wild.